So, for Christ's sake.
Lass jetzt ein bisschen drüber
Ja, bitte.
That was a joke. Do you think I'm serious? I think I'm serious. I really need your full intellectual attention for this thing.
The 7 steps now, objectives.
7 steps to success.
Do this and you'll be.
How to be successful.
How to do life.
How to life.
So I'm gonna explain you now how to do life. So, first of all, thank you for sharing your goals, like the stuff you feel, like the little dots that I pointed out before. It's not to make them smaller or say these are not challenges. It's just to share another perspective on them, okay? So, I want to share our objectives, so stuff we would love for you to experience. And I'm not saying understand intellectually, but literally experience for yourself. So we're talking also oftentimes about realization, to realize something from that's why we call it inside out, right? It's from the inside out. So the first objective is exactly that. We would like you to see that that life works only one way, from the inside out, and never the other way. Even though it looks exactly the other way, right? So it looks like that person makes you angry. For me, it looks super realistic sometimes when Sina tells me something, and like, oh, you know? Not a lot, that's why we're working together, but still sometimes it feels like it's coming, there is magical anger droplets coming from Sina, coming inside of me and make me angry, right? But that's not the case. A person or a circumstance cannot make me angry. Everything in this world of form is neutral, right? To a certain extent. I'm not saying I don't like Sina, but everything in this world of form is neutral. I can either like the sofa, I can dislike, I can like a person, I can dislike a person. The missing link, as Sydney Banks, the guy who had this realization for himself and then shared it in words and it got spread, I might talk about him a little bit later, is the missing link between this is thought. So whenever we think about it, something, anything, a person, a circumstance, we experience it. We have a feeling of it, right? So to every thought that we have, there is a feeling attached. If we're not thinking about it, we don't experience it. So you can walk through a forest, and I had that. I was walking through a forest and was talking with my mom actually about the principles, and we were in a discussion about the principles. I wasn't experiencing the trees around us, even though I was in the forest, because my thoughts were in the discussion, right? So we're living in the experience or the feeling of our thinking, okay? So thought in the moment creates our experience. Intellectually, probably everybody in this room says, yes, a 5-year-old can understand that, thank you very much. But what is powerful for me to see is, the more I really see this, and I mean really feel it, I drop into the understanding, the more I feel this feeling that I talked about before, this feeling of I'm at home now, everything is okay, you know? That there are no circumstances right now in this moment need to change for me to be okay. I'm okay. And funny enough, if I'm in this state, cool stuff happens. I have good ideas. I am much more connected when I work with Sina. I'm giving thoughts. That sounds strange, but I'm thinking positive thoughts that then result in a positive experience of life. It's not something, again, I'm doing. It's not something I'm doing. It's just really useful to know that I'm living in a world of thought. Because every time I catch myself, it's like a catching myself. Sometimes, oh, now it looks really real. And in the past, I thought I need to work on it or react to it. I need to work maybe on the relationship with me and Sina. Or I really need to do something about it. Or I can also just see that it's thought and the moment I see it, it loses its grip over me. It feels like not so strong anymore, right? It still feels, I still experience it, but I know it's not coming from the outside world, and it loses a little bit its grip, and it automatically, and that's the second point we want you to see, great brain, Kari. That's the second point we want you to see is that our mind, okay? So we're not talking about the brain, but our mind, our personal mind, or our mind in general, is self-correcting, or self-correcting system. Mind self-correcting system. Okay. You could think that I'm not a communication trainer looking at the flip chart, but in case. So what I mean by that is, yes, what I mean by that is exactly what I imagine you to feel is the moment you're not engaging with your thoughts as much, the moment you realize the true nature of thoughts, that they're thoughts. Michael Neal called it shadows on the wall. I really like that expression. It's nothing, right? It is nothing you could take, even though it looks sometimes like a ball. My professional problems look like a ball that's out there, and I need to interact and stuff like that. But once you realize that it's just thought, the cool thing is the mind automatically quiets down. I can prove that to you. You will be all insane if that wouldn't be the case. Literally, you will go crazy. If mind wouldn't be a self-correcting system, if you would need to manage every thought that goes through your head, you would literally go crazy. Because there's so much thing, you would have burnout after burnout. Reset. That's an assumption of me. But what I'm saying is, the moment, in my experience, the moment I'm not trying to do something about it and just realizing, oh, there's thought, it tends to quiet down, and I'm coming back home again. So that's the effective thing. Inside our nature of life, we're living in a world created of thought, and that creates our experience of life, our emotions. And the second thing, mind is a self-correcting system. And the third thing, Sina, what did I forget? Can you tell me?
Is that you are, and we talked about this before, it's like each and every one of us is designed for success. We have actually everything we need already inside of us. It can be useful to like what Jan said, read books about things on how to run awesome presentations, for example. That there needs to be an introduction and a goal or whatever. But everything you actually need to do something or to be is already inside of you. The potential for everything is, we all have it. Every kid has it, every grandma has it, everybody.
Success in what kind of way?
I would say every way. So to put it in other words, wisdom, like your wisdom, is a real-time phenomenon. What I mean by that, I know the right thing to do when the moment is here for me to do it, and not before. Okay? Let me put that in a different way. I used the example before of my speech, of my presentation I did 2 weeks ago. I knew exactly what I wanted to say without a shadow of a doubt, not because I planned the speech, but because I had access to the internet. Okay, I had access to Wi-Fi at that moment. So wisdom shows up. I often experience that also with speaking. I can just talk of my world. Before a speech or before a workshop, I'm oftentimes nervous. And at the same time, I know that this is just nervous thinking. And the moment when I need it, I will have everything to be successful. And the thing is, most of the time, if people don't know that, they think they need to do something about their nervousness, which in turn, and then they analyze what exactly they should do about their nervousness, or they shouldn't think about the nervousness, blah blah blah. So when they're actually in the situation, they're so much in their head of the speech, for example, they're so much in their head that their speech maybe doesn't go the way they would like it to go. So if you know though that, or the more I know that it's just thought in the moment that I experience, the less I'm connected to my hard drive, and the more no problem.
Sorry.
He always needs to have something.
Yeah, I'm so fatally says this shit.
I have something.
Yeah, she will bring you.
Okay.
Tina will bring
Because
you
I have to say.
something. Bring. Maybe I like. So
Zie je nationaal aan,
everybody needs some.
I should be a smoker, but I don't smoke.
Maybe we need some teddy bears that people can hug
I have a
during the
cushion,
workshop.
that's fine as well. I have a cushion.
Yeah, a cushion.
And I have that as well, so.
So you don't want to have a ball? I have a ball.
Oh yeah, it's awesome.
That's cool.
All is nice.
Anyone else? No? I take one.
Does that make sense to you? Or is anybody saying, what a load of BS? Whose intellect is going crazy right now? And thinking, yeah, but
Mine is going
half crazy?
Yeah.
Cool. Can you share what your thoughts are telling you right now?
It's related to what you asked.
Mm.
Is all the books that you read before, all the ideas that you had, all the life experiences actually enabling you to tap into, it's like, okay, I actually have the experiences, I have all of that. What I'm gonna tell them in the moment, just
Yeah.
because I lived my life, I've
Yeah.
been curious about these many things, and that's why.
Yeah.
It's like, but at the same time, I still agree with it.
Yeah.
It's like, I know what you mean by this point,
Yeah.
that's the,
I think we're not disagreeing, are we?
no, we are not.
Yeah.
I'm just like, my thoughts are still there, but on the
Yeah.
other hand, it's like,
Mine are there too sometimes.
it's like for the, I don't know, confidence or what, the beliefs about the nervousness, you can, hey, I'm just actually excited. And yeah, that's my thought of being nervous, but you can also flip it around and yeah, I'm actually excited to give this speech.
Yeah.
So that's a simple thing for.
It's a cool thing you brought up about the flipping around. I'm not flipping anything. Like, it's the same, like, to use another example, thoughts are like clouds, okay? They're going through my head anyways, okay? They're going up. The thing is, sometimes there's more clouds in my head, and sometimes there's less. And sometimes there's a blue sky. The blue sky is always there, by the way. It's always there, it's just sometimes covered by the clouds. But for me, knowing that the blue sky is always there, is quite useful. Full stop. I'm not talking about flipping the clouds. I'm not talking about shooting rockets into the clouds so they explode and disperse, which is possible, I think. I'm not talking about screaming at them or screaming positive affirmation at the clouds. Nothing. It's more to realize the nature of the clouds. It's like they're there. Whether it's raining now, whether I'm like, my state of consciousness is right now it's low. Whether I'm doing something about it or not, it's low, full stop. Right? So I had this thought, full stop. Like, I sometimes have really weird thoughts, believe me, like really strange thoughts. And in the past, I was like having these thoughts and then a comma. What should I do about it? Comma. Why do I have this thought? Comma. Should I do? And now it's more the thought, full stop, balance. Next thought, full stop, balance. Is that all the time? No, I still have a lot of comma phases. But the less I try to manipulate the thoughts, and just let them be as what they are, clouds in the sky, you know. And some are elephant shaped, and some are like an eagle shaped, and some are just like non-definable. It still doesn't matter because they're still just clouds. They have no effect on me in that sense. Yeah.
Sometimes I also look inside of myself and
Yeah.
like
That's good.
I'm really interested in the nature of consciousness
Yeah.
itself. And what I experience, I'm not sure if it's the same for you or anybody else in this room, but what I kind of feel like is that our thoughts are always there.
Mhm.
It's just if we're paying attention to them or not.
Mhm.
I feel like that if your mind is still, your thoughts are still there, but you're not paying attention to them. I feel like that our consciousness is like a spotlight, and you only actually see whatever the spotlight shines upon.
Yes.
And if you like put them up into the sky, and you actually will see some clouds.
Yeah.
But I feel like that they're like always there.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's like what's I feel like is that if you focus too much on the clouds,
Yeah.
that they kind of like the cloud, like basically the thoughts are generating more thoughts, and those generated thoughts are creating more
Yes.
thoughts. And I think this is like, it's like when you have, let's say like you're in the bathroom or something and you have a mirror in front of you and one behind you,
Yeah.
and there's basically there's like an unlimited amount of mirrors, and I feel like it's the same
Yeah.
thing that can happen with the thoughts. And I feel
Yeah.
like this is where it gets dangerous, where you should kind of like, I learned to kind of like catch myself when I get into a spiral of
Yeah.
thoughts.
Yeah.
And this is kind of what my idea is, that
Yeah.
the thoughts are always there. It's just wherever you shine your spotlight of attention
Yeah.
on,
Yeah.
do you experience it similarly?
Yeah. You explained it even better than I did. I really like that thing. Yeah. It's exactly like that. Yeah. And the cool thing, something I would like to add, it's not even dangerous. Okay. So there is no danger in thought. There's also no danger in a sense like, oh my God, I really need to pay attention. The cool thing is, it's a self-correcting system. Okay. So you don't need to remind yourself that it's just thoughts. That's maybe something that could come up in an action-oriented mind, right? In an action-oriented intellect. For me, at least, it's like, okay. So let me monitor my thoughts. That's not working, right? But we're doing it sometimes, right? It's like, okay, good thought. That stresses the hell out of me. It's just, the cool thing is, again, it's like every cell in my body is changing. There's a wisdom behind the system. There's an intelligence behind the system. It's the same for your mind. It's, you will catch yourself automatically. So I'm not interested in like how many times you caught yourself or something like that. The cool thing is those moments where you catch yourself automatically because wisdom comes up. It's like, oh, there I go again. Done. That's it. And it's not the sentence, there I go again. Okay? It's like just like, oh. That's for me, that's all that happens. Nothing changed. Like, it's not like this big, wow experience, but sometimes I just catch myself. That's it. So it's a self-correcting system. I really like an expression Jamie Smart uses. It's a subtractive approach. Yeah? It's not an additive approach. What I mean by that is, it's not something new to learn. It's not like you wouldn't know that naturally. There is nothing new. There's no new knowledge. You guys talk about. Sometimes I'm tired of all those books and stuff like that. I really enjoyed that hearing because I'm the same. And I think it's actually our wisdom telling us, hey, wait, don't look outside, look inside. It's like the wise people telling us, look for the answer within. And we're like, that's a great idea. Where's the book that I can read about looking in within, right? So it's like, it will be the same question. It's like, so how should I live my life? Just live it. Like, just live, that's it. Just live it. Same like, how do I learn to play squash? And you don't read books about squash, you just play squash until you're better at it. That's it. Our mind tries to make it very complicated what a successful life is. At least for me, like, okay, this needs to be, like, oh, my life is complete when I have this job or something. It's illusionary. It's completely made up. I know from experience because I got a job that I wanted very early and didn't change shit. It doesn't mean that I wasn't like happy and my ego felt good that I had this job that I wanted to have, but I was lucky enough to get to that point quite early. As you said, Don, like there is nothing more. Of course, I felt like there's. But I just realized it's a rat race. It's like I'm in a hamster wheel, and like as soon as I get something, I'm gonna wanna have the next. Like my thoughts will always work that way. Maybe not. Maybe they will have. But that seems to be a habit, a thought habit I have. And the less I listen to that, the better. That's it.
I actually liked also what you said, or at least I don't know what you meant, but what I heard was that you like to be excited when you go on stage, for example. To feel something like that?
No, it was more about flipping. It's like
Okay.
some of the NLP tricks that you
really?
read
Okay.
about, like
Very
what can you
psychological.
do about like to snap yourself out of the spiral of oh my god, I'm nervous.
Mhm.
You're becoming more nervous, thinking about okay, I'm getting nervous, and you can actually just the interpretation of your
Yeah.
in the train of thought you could try to
Yeah.
switch it like
Yeah,
I'm actually excited,
Yeah.
and then it changes
Yeah.
I know what you
the experience. So that could be a hack, but this one is more about acceptance. It's like you're accepting
Yeah.
the thoughts you're having
Yeah.
without the urge. Okay, now start doing something about
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
I like that you caught that, because that's what I tried to say in a very long-winded way. Is exactly that. Yeah, we're not talking about application-based, also mentally application-based. Okay, we're not talking about that you flip thoughts, change thoughts, manage thoughts. Just do anything with them. You can. We just found that it's more useful to look at the source of thought. Okay, to look how it works from the inside out. Because once people realize that, they tend to not use NLP techniques anymore. Like I said, a lot of the people coming from an NLP background, they just dropped it after they realized the potential of this. But of the principles behind life or the experience of life, they just literally were like, wow, this is like day and night. I'm gonna go with that now. And the same happened for me. I haven't dropped it completely. I still like sometimes skill-based trainings. They're fun for me to do. But I just realized that. I was like, wow, I want to put my focus on that because this is more powerful. Story of Michael Neal, another very successful coach, that came to my mind, where he talks about, let's imagine a guy comes to you for coaching, right? And that was, he comes to you for coaching and his name is Jesus, right? And you're like, okay. So you ask him what's he doing, and he says, like, I have this carpenter business, and I really want to have some insights on market strategies and stuff like that. And I think I fucked up the story already, but anyways. But the point behind it was that you start to work with him and something feels off. You're like, okay, you're giving marketing advice and stuff like that. Woo! And you just think like, wow, this guy has such a presence about him. I don't know. And then you ask a little bit more, and you realize that it's Jesus of Nazareth. You realize it's the Jesus. Would you give Jesus marketing advice? Like, would you give him strategies and techniques on how to improve? Or would you rather say, hey, dude, you're Jesus. Like, you're the savior. It's fine, you know? And this might sound like a very dramatic way, but the way I'm seeing more and more my clients is as Jesus. Like this unlimited potential, and who am I to give you advice in life if you have everything inside of you already, right? If the only thing that needs to happen for you, or already happened a lot by the way in the past, otherwise you wouldn't survive and you wouldn't be here, is that you just connect with the internet again, connect with wisdom again, right? And see For me, it's to see the intellect for what it is. Like it's just thinking. That's it. Yeah.
What do you think stops us from connecting to that Wi-Fi or internet? Or
Thought in the moment.
Engaging with it.
Yeah. It's not even the thought. I like what you. Yeah. I have to correct myself. It's actually engaging with thought and looking at it very real.
But then you can ask again, who is or what is or why are we paying attention to them? Why are we?
I have no idea, but we are.
Mm.
We are. It's the same with. I have not really an idea how that works. That this falls always down. Like I haven't. Like we can have a mathematical formula for that, but it's still just an abstraction of what's actually happening, right? We can never know exactly why this is happening, because we always go just closer and closer to the truth of why gravity exists. But it's super useful for me to know that gravity exists, right? And I can make a lot of use of gravity in my life. I mean, every moment, me sitting here is a miracle. Like there is so much subconscious knowledge, wisdom going through me that I can just sit like this. I'm not like, okay, muscle 27, do this, now you do this, now you go like this. Sometimes I fall over and I quote unquote forget that gravity exists, right? But or I misuse it. But most of the time it's just useful for me to know that gravity exists. It's also very useful for me to know that we're thinking. Very useful. How it exactly works? Christ, I don't know. You could probably some scientists can tell you a little bit more exactly. But it's very useful for me to know that we think, and it's very useful for me to know that we experience thought in the moment and not our circumstances.
It's also not about bad thoughts or good thoughts. I feel like it's just that we're thinking and we put on the interpretation of the thought if it's good or bad.
I also think that the interpretation of the thoughts is just another thoughts.
Yeah. It's how you engage with it. Yeah. And actually I like having thinking sometimes and feeling, especially when I watch a movie, a happy movie, I'm like laughing my ass off for something, I love it. And then I don't sit there and go, oh, what's my thinking? I just enjoy it. You know, when something sad happens, I cry a lot, and then when the movie's over, I'm like, okay, cool, that was a sad movie, but I know it's a movie, so I can move on with my life now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't get stuck in the movie for the next 5 years. I know I'm sitting there watching the movie.
Yeah.
And when the movie's done, I can get up and go out and do something else. I don't know.
Depends on the movie.
Yeah, or if it's a horror movie, I like the excitement that I create, but I also don't scream at the movie.
I watched a movie when I was underage to watch it.
Yeah.
And I was disturbed by the
Yeah.
ending, and I didn't talk to anyone for a good few hours.
Yeah.
And then what made you talk again to others? Just did it? I don't know.
Well, if you understood the movie that I watched, you probably understand why I didn't talk to anyone.
Okay.
What?
7.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
watched
it's
Underage too. Really.
It's a horror movie?
What's that was like?
Oh, it's about the 7 sins or something?
Yeah, Brad Pitt, and I was like
Oh.
12 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was.
I
I've
never
never
s-
seen it.
I was in my mid-teens, or somewhere like late teens when I watched it. I wasn't 18 then.
And then it disturbed you for a couple of hours.
Pretty much most of the day.
Yeah. Oh, okay. If it's not yours.
Yeah. And then next day it was alright again.
No, not really.
So maybe
I just, because you don't really see anything in the film. It's all about your imagination.
Exactly.
And then at the end, I don't know if you've seen the film, but it's the fact that so Kevin Spacey, his character decapitated the police officer's wife and put her head in a box and
Yeah.
had it delivered
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
middle of nowhere. So I didn't,
Yeah.
Let's take this
But
as
still,
an
it's a
example. I
movie.
really like it. I don't like the movie. I think it's very gross, and it also felt like it's disturbing me. But what if Seven, the movie itself? Okay, let's take this as an example. What if the movie itself is disturbing? Okay, let's say the abstract example. This movie Seven is disturbing. What would have to naturally happen to every human being, without an exception, if the movie Seven is disturbing? What would have to happen to every single human being who's watching it?
Feel the same emotions.
Feel exactly exactly, and I'm not talking about variations. Feel exactly the same emotion, because if the movie Seven would have inherently value to us in any case, right? It would be disturbing. But I can tell you from experience, some friends of mine found it enjoyable. Sick fox. But and some children who watched it weren't phased at all. I'm sure about that too.
Yes,
And some were
yes.
traumatized. And it's not that some people performed better while they were watching the movie or something like that. It's just people experience something outside of them in different ways via the power of thought, right? So everybody has different thinking about the movie Seven. So this person has this kind of thinking, this person has this kind of thinking, this person has this kind of thinking actually, and so on. And this thinking will be very different, right? But it's useful for all of those people to know that what they're experiencing is not the movie Seven. It's their thinking about the movie Seven. Can you see a little bit what I'm saying? Is it like, yeah, of course? Or, yeah. It's yeah, okay. Yeah,
It
that's
has
good.
to do that everybody has different experiences in the past, so they interpret
Yeah.
things differently, see things from a different angle.
Yeah.
I think we can take any kind of situation, even this moment right here, and each of us will see it from a different angle,
Yeah.
analyze it by their own way of thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
And sometimes it seems so real that it comes from the movie.
Yeah.
Or I had it when I did sports when I was younger. I thought only if I wear these special shoes for playing soccer,
Yeah.
only then I'm good in the game.
Yeah.
But if anyone else would put on these shoes, they didn't have the same feeling that I had.
Mm.
And also I didn't do good or less good in the game. But I thought these shoes give me extra power in
Power.
playing soccer.
Yeah.
But it was just my feeling about these shoes. Especially many women have it also when they put on a certain dress when they go out.
Yeah.
They know, oh, when I wear this dress, I know I'm gonna be super attractive and guys are going to talk to me
Yeah.
tonight. But it's actually not coming from the dress, it's the feeling about the dress.
Yeah.
I would agree about the dress, I would disagree about the shoes.
Why about the shoes? I'd be
Because-
interested to hear.
I just would think like you're actually neurologically really wired to feel comfy with those shoes. Maybe also actually even with the dress.
Same thing.
Yeah.
But even more for the shoes, because you really need the coordination, and you know that if the other shoe is shaped a little bit differently, you will not be able to hit the ball as precisely as with those shoes. So there's a little bit of the getting familiar with your tools.
Yeah.
Like if you're working on a computer and you suddenly get a different mouse,
Yeah.
it's
But
not the
let's-
same feeling. It's a little bit different
Yeah.
to click. But the
Yeah.
dress is more interpreting it
Yeah.
from the outside, because the attraction happens in the men, like outside of you. They will judge because of their previous history, like, okay, what do I like this dress, do I like this girl and everything. And that's in that way the dress is really more just psychological. There's a little bit of degree with like how how it feels because
Yeah.
you're used to feeling these clothes. Maybe that's where they
How
come
I
from.
feel about it,
Yeah,
right?
because you had them on yourself before. So
I think if you
Well,
would,
Can I just say real quick? You remember I said some metaphors work until they don't work anymore?
yeah, when we start getting into
Yeah.
really technical details about it.
Yeah, fine. The
I like
shoe
it.
metaphor works as long as it works, and then it doesn't work anymore. Okay. So what Sina is trying to say again is pointing towards something that is, and sometimes the metaphors work for some people, like the dress metaphor worked for you,
Yeah.
and then the shoe was like hitting off some thought tangent, and which is okay too. And like the program came out, and he's like, "All right, let's analyze
What
that."
if a different shoe with a different strap?
Yeah,
What
yeah.
about the exact same shoe, same company, just different, tiny
we could
different
make a study.
color?
We could give a
I
child.
would still don't like it because it's not my shoe that gives me the power.
Then it would be perfect.
Oh,
Then it would be the
okay.
So let's improve that story.
No, sorry guys.
I feel much better now.
Very good. So what goes through your head?
Not much at the moment. Just listening.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like this light bulb or that
Yeah.
like, it just makes sense. Makes
Yeah.
sense.
Mhm.
That's what I'm thinking about.
Sina, should we do like a little exercise now? Because we've been talking, we've been like chilling, and I enjoyed the feelings, also the questions you guys ask, and I would like